Good morning, my folks. We have a great show for you today. I am really excited to be here. Enjoy. We're going to talk about things getting hot in Arizona, and I'm not talking about the weather. So grab yourself some coffee, get a pen and paper for the roundtable discussion at the end, write down your questions, and let's do this. Good morning, folks. Before we get into Arizona, there's something else that I'd like to share with you, a little interesting thing that's going on. There's a company in Illinois called Picard Fine China of Antioch. They make the china for the White House, them and Lennox and a couple other companies, but Picard made, for instance, Picard made the Obama dinnerware. Beautiful. It's called Kialoa Blue. It's just gorgeous. It's widely considered one of the most beautiful dinnerware sets ever. Those are paid for by the White House Historical Foundation. That is a private entity. That is not part of the government. That is not part of the White House. They exist. They were founded by Jackie Kennedy. They exist to furnish the White House, to put on the best show, the best presentation that our can put our best foot forward as a country. It's what they do, and they are the folks that pay for and purchase the order and purchase the China sets for the different administrations. Um, Trump didn't have China. He didn't have China. I don't mean they carted it off and stole it. I mean they just didn't have a Trump administration China set. Uh, they Melania couldn't work and play well with the historical society. They were late in getting their orders in, their design submitted, the designs they submitted and the amounts they requested. For example, the Obama spent $350,000 on China. That's about normal. The Bushes spent about a little under $500,000 on China. They're huge sets, designed for state functions, whatnot. So Trump, Melania, they couldn't get it done. She kept submitting designs that were so outrageous, over the top, material wise, cost wise, quantity wise, that her and the historical society could never come to an agreement. And finally, the White House pouted and just killed the whole project. And yes, B. Sanders says, and she destroyed the Rose Garden. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. That was a crime. What happened in the Rose Garden? But getting along to what we were talking about, Picard sent Trump, going with the Roger Stone "Just Claim Victory" theme, has called Picard and said, "I'm going to be president next term. I need you to send me samples so that we don't have the same problem we had last time and we can get a White House China set." And me being a friend of the White House Historical Foundation, they were kind enough to send me one of the samples. And we have it here. Picard sent this as their sample. Okay, that was a joke, folks. I'm sorry. That didn't really happen. I'm sorry. That didn't really happen, but I just absolutely I love this Georgia Department of Corrections bug. This is what you're gonna drink out of when you go visit Trump this year. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was a joke. Everything I said about the place settings, the historical society, everything is absolutely true. It is absolutely true. But no, Trump didn't request as he tried it, and that didn't come from Picard. Picard is a fabulous company. The White House Historical Foundation is a private. Thanks for the support, only me. I appreciate it, bud. I really do. Glad to see you from somebody here from India. I am. We have a huge international audience, folks, and so be on your best behavior so they can see that we Americans are not what Republicans represent us to be. Um, but anyways, moving on. We're talking about Arizona. It's getting hot in Arizona, folks. It is getting really hot in Arizona. The Arizona District Attorney, Chris Mays, just got barraged with a bunch of questions because if you actually read the Georgia indictment like I did, you find that Arizona's mentioned a lot, a lot. I mean, 4 or 5 times they're brought up in the indictments in Georgia, and that basically breaks down two ways. The investigation basically breaks down two ways. So reporters um, have been going to Chris Mays and saying, "Hey, what the heck's going on? What the heck is going on?" Marcia, I appreciate the support. $5 is a lot of money. I do appreciate it. Sheldon, I appreciate the support, man. I really do. They've been going to Chris Mays and saying, "Hey, what the hell's going on?" Because we a little over a week ago we had the fake electors in Michigan indicted. They were all arraigned a little over a week ago. I believe it was August 10th. They were all hauled in and indicted. They've got trial dates set in October, November, and December. So everybody's like, "Hey, Chris Mays, what's going on? I mean, what's happening? You you're mentioned in the Georgia indictments. Michigan's moving forward." She said, "Oh, don't you worry. We got this. We're on this." And if you're not like a real deep political, I can't imagine that watching this show, but if you're not a real deep political, Arizona, we Democrats just rolled Arizona. Katie Hobbs is the new governor, or Democratic governor. Chris Mays is a Democratic attorney general. Me too, Jasmine says, love AG Mays. Me too. She is smart as a whip, and she's special, folks. You're going to hear her name for a long time in politics. Chris Mays has been doing fantastic. So has Michigan. Michigan's been doing great work, but Chris Mays is doing. This is Chris Mays, by the way. I have an image of her. Let me go ahead and pull it up for you. There you go. That's Chris Mays, the Attorney General of Arizona. So after she makes that statement, they're like, "Well, tell us what's going on. Tell us what's happening in the investigation." She's like, "Look, I'm the Attorney General, folks. I can't do that. I'm not going to tell you about ongoing investigations." Then the Arizona press used their connections within the office to talk to prosecutors, clerks, lawyers, anybody they could get a hold of. And basically, they found out, yeah, it's gone into high gear. I mean, high gear. They are going at it. And it breaks down two ways. One, you remember me talking about David Ralston in Georgia. He was the Speaker of the House in Georgia. He got a phone call from Trump that said, "Hey, decertify the electors for me. Hold a special session, decertify the electors, and I'll take it from there." They intended to run out the clock with the sunset provision and declare Trump president. That was the whole coup. David Ralston said, "No, not going to do it." and that's a crime, I'm not participating in it. And unfortunately for us, David Ralston died. So yeah, I mean, his communications can be brought in, but as a witness, he can't. I mean, you can't cross-examine a dead witness. What are they going to do? Weekend and Bernie this? I mean, I'm sorry. I know a lot of you think it's uncouth for me to be laughing about this, but trust me, you'll understand. So Trump's not a smart guy. He's not a really smart guy, and he's a bully. Bullies just do stuff. They just feel like they can get away with it. So when it didn't work with David Ralston, he called Rusty Bowers in Arizona. He wanted to get this ball rolling. They needed legitimacy afforded to this effort. So he called Rusty Bowers, who was a Speaker of the House in Arizona. And baby, I appreciate that. Trump is dumb as a rock. Baby says exactly that. Trump is dumb as a rock. I totally agree with you. And they're horrible criminals. Oh my God, you're going to laugh so hard about this. They are horrible criminals. So anyways, they called Rusty Bauer. And he tells old Rusty, I need you to hold a special session. I need you to decertify. Kimberly says, morning, Paul. Good morning to you. Glad you folks are still coming in. I'm glad to see you here. I'm glad to see you here. We need to work to get as audience as big as possible. This is no longer streaming on a site formerly known as Twitter. I'm not going to send them content. Just not going to do it. So yeah, we need to help getting this audience as big as possible. So share this as far as you can. Hit the subscribe button, please. Doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't do anything to you. Just helps me in the algorithm and brings my new content up. Whenever you click on YouTube, you'll see my pretty face. And please, yeah, hit the like button. And y'all are the best audience. You really are. I don't even have to say it. Always have strength of joy says hit like. That's the thumbs up button down there. Anyways, where was I? I got sidetracked. Oh yeah, Rusty Bowers. How do you like my Georgia Department of Corrections comment? I love that. I love that. Anyways, so Rusty Bowers gets this phone call from Trump. It says, hey, have a special session, decertify the electors for me. I'll take it from there. And Rusty Bowers famously in his January 6th testimonies told us his reply. He said, I voted for you. I worked for you. I campaigned for you. I just won't break the law for you. Because Rusty Bowers knew, and so did Trump, that this was against the law. And he wasn't going to participate in it. And that's when everything went south for Rusty Bowers' life. Well, that's not when everything started going south, but it got ugly. And I'll let Rusty Bowers tell you himself. If you remember, I was part of the January 6th roundtable for the Midas Touch Network. And this testimony, it really got to me. It really got to me. I'll say it did. You know me, folks. I don't like Republicans. I don't agree with Rusty Bauer at all. I don't like Rusty Bauer. I'll be honest with you, but anyways, I'm not inhuman. This got to me.
As others in the videos have mentioned, we received, my secretaries would say, in excess of 20,000 emails and tens of thousands of voicemails and texts, which saturated our offices and we were unable to work, or at least communicate. But at home, up till even recently, it is the new pattern or a pattern in our lives to worry what will happen on Saturdays because we have various groups come by and they have had video panel trucks with videos of me proclaiming me to be a pedophile.
They did more than that. They set up loudspeakers in his neighborhood, calling him a pedophile, saying that he was corrupt. Just horrible stuff. And I want to set this up in context for the next part of this story so that you can understand the type of people we're dealing with. Rusty Bowers was not an unknown in Arizona Republican politics. He was the Speaker of the House, for Pete's sake. I mean, they knew him. They knew what was going on in his life. And Rusty Bowers has 7 children, I believe, and his daughter. And this is his daughter. Was his daughter. That's Rusty Bowers. This was his daughter. She was 42 years old, and she had moved in with her mom and dad because she was fighting an illness. She had had a long-term illness that they all knew was going to be fatal. She was in her dying days. And if you've ever cared for someone that is at that point, you know. This just makes me so damn angry. So while she is in bed, there are loudspeakers outside blaring, calling her father a pedophile, attacking her father because that's speculation. They actually haven't released what happened, and the family's been private about it, so I haven't dug into it. I don't want to speculate what she died from. I don't. But I do know that she was dying. She knew she was dying. They knew she was dying. They were caring for her. The Republicans that did this knew she was dying and at home with her parents. And they set up loudspeakers. They had, those billboard trucks you see driving around towns that have the digital billboards on the back instead of a box. They ran those past his house back and forth, calling him a pedophile, saying he's corrupt, saying, because if you are in a cult, and you do not do what the cult leader tells you to, the rest of the cult will turn on you. They will attack you. And no, they did not care. Lori Love says, and they did not care. No, they did not care. They did not care. They knew Rusty Bowers. They knew Rusty Bowers for years, folks. And they did this to him, knowing his daughter was there. Dogs Rule says they are inhumane. Yes, they are. They are inhumane. And that is why I am telling you, we're about to see these people go through some things. And these electors, these fake electors, the people that participated in this, most of them were elderly. They're older folks. And they're going to spend the last parts of their lives, like the folks up in Michigan. This fall and winter, they are going to be facing trial. And then they're going to be facing prison because a lot of these charges they're all felonies and they carry minimum jail terms. These old folks are going to jail, and it will be because you're good and decent people, it will be your inclination to feel sorry for them. Do not. These are the kind of people they are. These are the kind of people we're talking about. Spicy Dragon, yes, some of the fake electors in Michigan are 80 plus years old. If you're active in politics like I am, you'll know a lot of the fixtures, the regular fixtures the most involved people are folks that are in their 70s and 80s because they understand the importance of it. That's why I try to get people together. I try to get young people with these old folks so they can learn from them and learn the processes and learn how to get things done from these folks that know so much. But these Republicans are just horrible human beings. They are horrible human beings. And I don't care that they're going to die in jail. I don't care. These are the kind of people they are. One of their own that they have known for years was a good soldier for them. I'm telling you, I don't like Rusty Bowers. I don't like Rusty Bowers. I don't think he's good for Arizona. I don't think I don't like him. But they will do this to him. And that is why I say this, and you folks give me so much hell for saying this. And it's the truth. We are better people than they are. Every time I say that, I get comments from our side, people on our side saying, you cannot say that. That's just wrong to say that. No, that is just fact to say that. You, the Texas Paul Potheads out there and the casuals that come in, you are better people than the Republicans, not just the party, not just the folks running, not just the people in the party, but their voters, because their voters were okay with all of this going on. Remember, these are Kerry Lake's people. These are the people that stood outside voting centers and tactical gear carrying weapons and stuff like that. I mean, you are better people than they are. And I'm not going to apologize for saying it. That's the first part of the investigation, folks. The second part centers around the fake electors. And that focuses on the state party chair, Kelly Ward. And this, my friends, is Miss Kelly Ward. She is not a nice person. I looked up Karen in the dictionary, and this picture was there. When I talk about people were motivating voters, good to see you, Mr. Knutson, Mr. Knutson. Sorry about that, my friend. As your Knutson. Democrat says Democrats are just better people. The other side is stupid and selfish. Thank you. And that guy's from Norway, and he knows that. Mr. Knutson is from Norway, and he's here to support us. Show him some love, man. I'm telling you, he's a good guy. People outside the country know we are better people. This is Kelly Ward. Like I said, I looked up Karen in the dictionary, and boom, there it was. They have gone high gear. Chris Mays has gone high gear into investigating Kelly Ward's both behavior and communications prior and post-election, because she was the center. Both her and her husband, Michael, signed these fake certificates along with 8 other people and sent them to the National Archives. And get this. This is how brilliant these criminals are. Cheese Bro, yeah, Cheese Bro's involved in this. Get a Cheese Bro, sends a memo to the rest of his Trump co-conspirators saying that, well, Kelly Ward and her husband Michael are a bit concerned because without a case in court in Arizona, they're a bit concerned that what they're doing is illegal. A memo. He wrote it down and sent it to everybody. They knew it was illegal. They knew it was illegal. Keep that in mind. When they signed these fake certifications, they made a party out of it. They set up a video camera and filmed themselves signing these fake certificates. Oh my God. That's like live casting a bank robbery. And they knew it was illegal. They knew it was illegal. They're calling, their contact, the old cheese bro, and saying, hey, man, we might get in trouble. You think? You think? You just committed forgery. And then you sent those forgeries to the National Archives, claiming to be the righteous and due electors of the state of Arizona. You think that might be illegal? And when Rusty Bowers would not participate in this, they harassed him and his family, and his daughter died 3 weeks after January 6th. The last thing that she knew, the last things that she heard in her life were loudspeakers playing outside her parents' home, calling her dad a pedophile. So, yeah, I don't feel sorry for these people. Kelly Ward, I mean, where do you think the information came from to attack Rusty Bowers? I mean, who do you think funded? I mean, loudspeakers aren't free. I can tell you, video billboard trucks are expensive. That is not cheap. Who do you think paid for that? Brendan Lewis, longtime supporter of the show, off to the Hooskow with him. Absolutely. Says off to the Hooskow with him. Absolutely. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And that's why I tell you folks, yeah, these folks are old. They are. Many of them won't survive the trial. Jeannie, we're telling our age there. Jeannie says they make the Apple Dumpling Gang look professional. And if you know who the Apple Dumpling Gang is, you're my age, at least. So yeah, when you see these old folks and they're standing trial and they're crying, and some of them are going to die in trial. They are. They're just, it's too stressful. They're not going to make it. They're making stupid arguments already, trying to say this is unconstitutional. No, it's not unconstitutional to charge somebody that forges a document with forgery. It's not, and it's a felony, and you're going to jail. It carries minimum jail time. If you have not seen the Apple Dumpling Gang, treat yourself. It's streaming somewhere. Go find it. Shania says Republicans weaponize stupidity and is biting them in the butt now. I totally agree. 100%. They are the worst. Donald Trump just was the worst president. Just the worst president. And it shows. Everybody around him are horrible. I mean, look at Cheese Bro. I mean, this guy, my God, would you imagine if he was your lawyer? He's participating in a crime with you, and he can't stop telling everybody that they know what's illegal. But he's not just telling them. He's not like picking up the phone call and maybe getting caught on a wiretap. No, he's writing it down and sending it out to everybody. This crime we're committing? People are getting worried. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I don't mean to just laugh, but Brenda Johnson, spot on. Brenda Johnson says he sucked like a vacuum cleaner. That is amen. Amen. Oh my God. Anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to let you know. I wanted to get it out there, get your eyes on the screen so you can start looking for it. Chris Mays is moving ahead. This Arizona investigation is streaming on hard. My question is, will the indictments that come out of this push Trump over the 100 indictments mark? He's currently indicted, and think about this, folks. All the Snow Leopard says Republicans make Beavis and Butthead look smart. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? So, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you've got everything going on with Alvin Bragg up in New York. You've got the espionage case in Florida with Eileen Cannon and her stupidity. Um, just absolutely. Linda Blanton says, "Where's your beautiful wife? Not in chat today. She's pissed at me. She's pissed at me." So, anyways, you've got Alvin Bragg up in New York. You've got the espionage case down in Florida with Eileen Cannon and her stupidity. And if you hadn't heard that, head over to the Midas Touch Network and look at Ben Meiselas breaks this down beautifully and explains CIFA and everything involved. I did a report. Eileen Cannon is not stupid. She's an experienced prosecutor, but she's not an experienced judge. And it just showed again. And I told you all of this stuff is going to add up, and she will never see this trial through. She will not, because she just made the ruling about the August 25th hearing and didn't bother to make the arrangements that a judge must make, because grand jury testimony is secret. So she did not make any of the arrangements for any of this hearings to be held privately. So they had to reschedule that hearing because she's stupid. You've got that case going on. You've got the another case that's been indictments that are still sealed in Washington, D.C. You've got the January 6th indictments. You've got, what am I missing? There's another one out there somewhere I'm missing. You've got the fake electors being indicted in Michigan, of course, and now Arizona. And the case up in Michigan hasn't even hit Trump yet. They're doing that one traditionally. They're rolling from the bottom up, because I guarantee you a lot of these elderly fake electors aren't going to go do prison time for Trump. They just aren't. And they're pushing those trials back in order to make a deal. And you're going to see them flipping on Trump, and they'll be turning over their communications. And you'll hear more memos from Cheese Bro. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Oh yeah, the New York State case. I forgot about that. You've got the New York State. Thank you, Karen Castle. It's just Trump's done. Trump's done. So moving on. Let's talk about Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek came out and made some stupid statements. When you have a conflict like World War II is a perfect example. You will get people in your country that are on the wrong side. They're just on the wrong side. Glad to see you here, Benaloco. Benaloco says, here listening and buttoning down the hatches. Happy Sunday, potheads. Yeah, stay safe. If you folks don't know, Hurricane Hillary has been beating the hell out of Mexico. It was category 4 when it hit Mexico. It's down to a category 1 now. But that's just the wind, folks. Those categories are just the winds. The biggest damage in Southeast California is a desert. It's going to roll right up through the worst part of it. Those eastern bands are going to tear ass over Arizona. Those drop the most rain. Yeah, just keep your eyes peeled. Folks in Arizona, Nevada, Southern California may need our help. So just monitor that situation. Hurricane Hillary it's going to be bad. It's moving into California, I believe 11 o'clock today. It's supposed to cross the border. I could be wrong about that, but yeah. Benaloco, you stay safe. Okay. Love you. So Vivek Ramaswamy, anytime you have a conflict, you're going to have people that are on the wrong side of history. You just are. And a perfect example of that, a textbook example of that, is World War II. You got a lot of people in this country in World War II that actually supported fascism. Prescott Bush here that I pulled up here from The Guardian. Prescott Bush, that's a great article. You should go read it sometime. He was a supporter of Hitler. He was. He believed in fascism. He was far from the only one. Charles Lindbergh was the most famous man in the country prior to World War II. He was literally the biggest celebrity in the United States. Forgive me for 1 second. I got a cough. Sorry about that. I had to mute that. Didn't want to be rude. So, you had Charles Lindbergh, like I said, and he just destroyed. He went from being the biggest celebrity in the country to nobody. Nobody, absolutely nobody. Nobody wanted anything to do. And he wasn't the only one. Henry Ford was considered himself to be a good friend of Hitler. Hitler had a nickname for it, Heinrich Ford. He believed in fascism. He did. He believed in fascism. And, I'm not just attacking Ford. General Motors bought a company called Opel in Germany. A lot of people think, when you think about German cars, you think Volkswagen, which was started by Porsche to build cars for Hitler's People's Wagon movement. But Opel was actually the top dog as far as German car companies were concerned. And they made a truck called the Blitz. They were owned by General Motors, folks. Yeah, that General Motors. And they made the Blitz. It was the pickup truck. It was the cornerstone of the Wehrmacht's Blitzkrieg attack. No irony lost there that it's called the Blitz. They mechanized, motorized, and moved quickly. That was General Motors. General Motors claims that they lost control of Opel during World War II. They didn't. They did not. They've owned Opel. They recently sold it, I believe, in 2017. Just FYI, a lot of people don't know anything about Opel. My dad owned an Opel in the 70s. They used to sell cars here. They don't sell cars here under the Opel name anymore. And I believe GM sold them in 2017, but they have a lot of models out there that you know of that are Opel. They're Opels. They're just, all they are is they're Opel cars that are manufactured here in the United States. You had the Cadillac Catera. You remember Saturn? Remember the car company Saturn that went away? Those were Opels. Those, the majority of those were Opels. All they did was manufacture them here or Mexico or Canada and slap a Saturn badge on them instead of an Opel badge on them. The Buick Verano and the Buick Regal were both based on Opels. They were Opel cars made in U.S., Mexican, and Canadian factories. The Buick Encore and the Chevy Trax, one of the most popular selling SUVs in the country, was actually an Opel Mokka. So yeah, GM can say, "Oh well, we lost control and we were not responsible." No, they did. They did. They owned Opel. Henry Ford was a big friend of Hitler's. It just happens, and we have it happening again in Ukraine. Way too much of this country. Evie Zant, I still drive a 2000 Saturn. I believe it, Evie Zant. I believe it. Those were great cars. They were great little cars. Opel makes a good car. They do. So the point of that is during conflicts, you have your own people get on the wrong side of history. And Vivek Ramaswamy is doing that in spades. It's just, well, I'll let you tell him. I'll let you see what he had to say. I'm going to pause this a couple of times as we go through it because he says some things that are just patently false here. But all right, let's blow this up full screen.
And you've also suggested that Vladimir Putin be allowed to keep parts of Ukraine as part of a way to solve that conflict. What if he wants parts of Poland?
You leave
next?
out the most important part of that deal.
More of Ukraine next.
Aren't
you letting some of these
authoritarian
leaders off
what actually advances? Far from it. I think that the Biden administration is so stubbornly attached to the idea of getting Xi Jinping to drop Vladimir Putin. What I think we need to be doing is get Vladimir Putin to drop Xi Jinping. Just like Nixon went to China in 1972. I think Putin is like the new Mao. I will visit Moscow and I will pull Russia out of its military alliance with China. The Russia-China military alliance is...
Okay. That's patently false. China and Russia do not have a military alliance. China steals Russian technology wholesale. They do that. But there's no cooperation between China and the Russian government. There just isn't. China has been taking advantage. DK Hall, thank you. I do appreciate that. Dude is a stooge. Yes, he is. And we're gonna explain all of it here. And again, thank you all for the support. I appreciate it. But no, China and Russia are not allies. They aren't. China is taking advantage of Russia's situation and buying up oil for pennies on the dollar because Russia, if you haven't been following, the ruble has collapsed. The sanctions are working. Russia is facing hyperinflation and Putin is threatened at home. The last time this happened was when Boris Yeltsin was the leader of Russia. And we all saw what happened to him. You cannot survive this in Russia. No one historically has. When Russians can't buy bread, you're in trouble. And that's exactly what's happening inside Russia right now. And no, China is not saving them. China is absolutely taking advantage of the situation. So he's wrong about that.
The single greatest military threat that we face today. Hypersonic missile capabilities, nuclear capabilities in Russia, far ahead of us or China. A naval capacity in China ahead of ours, combined with an economy.
What? Okay, couple things here. Russia's got like some great technology called, like the Armada tank. That's a wonderful tank. The problem is they made like 6 of them. They can't afford to make them. Even before the sanctions, they couldn't afford to make them. They are literally the paper tiger. These hypersonic missiles, they don't have a whole lot of them. And we've already proven that the Patriot missile battery can shoot them down. So this guy knows nothing about what he's speaking. And this man just out of his mouth said that China had greater naval capabilities than we do. That, my friends, is insane. We have the most advanced Navy on the face of the planet in both in submarines, aircraft carriers, destroyers. We have the best of the best. And this idiot thinks that, China's Navy is the greatest existential threat. They've got one aircraft carrier that they can't get out of dock. Anyways, let's continue on.
Economy that we depend on for our modern way of life, those two nations are in a military alliance with one another, and nobody in either political party is talking about it. Worst of all,
they're not talking about it because it doesn't exist.
Engagement in Ukraine is further driving Russia into China's arms. So my foreign policy centers on weakening that alliance. That advances American interests.
But you would let Putin have
that
parts
is how
of
we
Ukraine.
Actually secure peace.
But you would let Putin have parts of Ukraine.
Freeze the current lines. I would freeze the current lines of control, and that would leave parts of the Donbas region with Russia. I would also further make a commitment that NATO will not admit Ukraine to NATO. But there are even greater wins that I will get for the United States in return. The top of the list. No, our goal should not be for Putin to lose. Our goal should be for America to win.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. First of all of those sentences that started with "I will," for our European and international audience, we understand here, we don't make that decision. That's not on us, folks. We may be able to interfere with their NATO membership as any other state could, but we don't control what the Ukraine does, and we damn sure don't endorse giving parts of other countries to other countries to appease people and try to foment peace. That is not us. That is not what we do. This idiot speaks for no one. He speaks for no one, and he is an idiot, a complete idiot, and he has no chance of being anywhere near the reins of power. He is kissing Trump's butt in hopes of trying to get a vice presidential bid to try to create his his political career. This guy didn't even vote until he was 30 years old. Okay. He has served nowhere. He has no political career whatsoever. He is the worst kind of Wall Street guy. He is a pharmaceutical Wall Street guy. I mean, he's just his biggest accomplishment was the formation of Roivant Sciences and subsidiaries. And of course, he based it out of Bermuda so he could dodge taxes. This guy's a sleaze. He is a sleaze. Yes, he was born in the U.S. Can't run for president if you're not born in the U.S. Someone just asked in the comments here. Let me put it up. So that was kind of a right-hand turn there. Asked, stated, was he born in the U.S.? Yes, he was born in the U.S. If you'd like, I'll look up his place of birth. I don't remember where he was born, but I do know he's a complete idiot. He's irrelevant. He is not going to be anyone. But CNN and the corporate media, and I'll give Jim Acosta props for staying on target, not letting him get away with it. But still, CNN giving this guy airtime like he's consequential. I mean, you could argue that, well, they let him blow himself up, which was a good thing. But this guy shouldn't be on anybody's stage. He's a moron. He doesn't understand geopolitical alliances, geopolitical politics. He says the stupidest things. He makes America look bad. Folks, there's a subset of America. They're called MAGA, or I call them maggots. And they think that they have the ability and the right to say things like, we're going to tell Ukraine to give away the Donbas. That's not our place, people. The vast majority of us, no, this is not how things work. We are there to support Ukraine. We are there to support Ukraine. They are fighting their asses off. They've lost, in last count, somewhere around 80,000 people defending their country, mostly young people. That's their next generation. And I'll be damned if I'm just going to sit here and watch some moron say, oh, well, yeah, we'll just have a peace treaty and I'll make them give away the Donbass and Crimea and then there'll be peace. Bullshit. That is not how things work, people. We do not speak for Ukraine. We do not give away people's property and land. That doesn't work that way. Ask says the F-16s are headed to Ukraine now. Soon. And I'm glad that they finally agreed to that and made it happen. I understand the apprehension. Not too long ago, Ukraine was not our ally. They were part of that old Soviet bloc. They were not our ally. They did a lot of cleaning up. You know, the whole Biden, Viktor Shokin removal, you know, and getting rid of those old Russian-loving hardliners was pretty damn recent. So I understand not wanting to go all in arming Ukraine, but, you know, folks, they're trying. They're trying. They're fighting for their freedom. They want to be part of NATO. They've engaged in reforms so that they can engage in the Western economic community, and we need to support them. And we need to make people like Vivek Ramaswamy, we need to hold them up for the idiots they are, and we need to proclaim loudly to the world. And I want to see it in chat because, folks, a lot of you local folks around here, you Americans, we have a huge international audience here. We have people from all over the world, Africa, Australia, New Zealand. They'll list it in the chat if you ask them. We need to be assuring these people that is not America. That is not what we are. That is not who we are. That is not who we're going to elect. And as awful as that is, I have something that's worse for you. Governor Ron DeSantis has been imploding. He has been imploding. We know that. But when Trump gets convicted, his people are going to need someplace to go. And they're not going to go to Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't care what anybody says. And they hate Chris Christie. And most, I appreciate it, Mr. Knutson. He says, people like him are the type who open the gates to the enemy to save his own skin. A real rat. Exactly. Vivek was on MSNBC saying, Linda Blanton says, and thank you for the support, guys. Really, I really appreciate it. It keeps the lights on around here. Vivek was on MSNBC saying that the Maui fire was because of climate activists. Also, yeah, he has never met a stupid statement he didn't like. But he's not the only one. Ron DeSantis is out here talking about the border and drug smuggling. And folks, I want you to keep one thing in mind. Florida does have a drug smuggling problem, but it sure as hell ain't the border. You've all seen the videos of boats ferrying in drugs. Where do you think those drugs are going? They're going to frickin' Florida. The Medellin cartel, the Cali cartel, all of them have been shipping. They buy Bolivian cocaine and ship it up through Florida. Fueled the 80s, I promise you. Florida has a huge drug smuggling problem, and it is not America's southwest border. It isn't. Yeah, remember Miami Vice? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what DeSantis is saying here is, one, it's idiotic that it's coming out of his mouth, but let's just go ahead and get it out there so we can talk about it. You are not going to believe what this man says.
So we are going to authorize the use of deadly force against the cartels. If you have somebody coming in with the fentanyl in the backpack, they even break through the border wall where there is wall. If they're doing that, that's the last thing they're going to be able to do, because we're going to leave them stone cold dead at the border. We're not putting up with it anymore.
What he just described there is murder. What he just described. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Susan Hewitt says, I hate his voice. I do too. I hate the sound of his voice. It's one of those irritating. It's one of the reasons he's collapsing as a candidate. Just goes to show you billionaires are idiots. They don't know what the hell they're doing when they get into politics. They've made a lot of money somewhere else, and all of a sudden they think it's their job to force their beliefs on all of America and the world. And it's idiocy, but they're really stupid about the way they do it. They don't understand politics. DeSantis, was making a big splash, getting a lot of press down in Florida. Thanks for the support, Olumi. I really appreciate it, my friend. So a billionaire lined up behind him and just started dumping money on him, like out of dump trucks. I mean, it's just, and the guy's just irritating as hell. But more important than that is the things that he says and does. Sherry Foster says, we need to stop voting creepy, corrupt, gross, selfish, and uncaring people into public office. We need to vote these types of people out of public office and keep them out by voting blue. Absolutely, 100%. And that's where I'm going to go with this. I want you to think about that. How does that work practically? What this man just said he wants to do. He's going to murder people. He says he's going to murder people. That's what it is. How do you know who has drugs in their backpacks until you arrest them, until you search them? Okay, so you search them and you find drugs in their backpack. What do? You just summarily execute them? That's murder. That's murder. You can't murder, even criminals you can't murder. Gumball Champagne, thanks for the support. I really appreciate it. I mean, think about that. Well, if I see somebody breaking through the wall, we're going to leave them stone cold dead. So what you're saying is you're declaring war on Mexico, Venezuela, Guatemala, basically all of Central America, because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about shooting their people on sight. And I'm going to play that for you one more time. It's a very short clip. I want you to listen to the end of it. Listen at the end. Every Republican in that office, in that audience, every one of them, woo, that sounds good to me. Let's go murder us some people. Let's shoot at some brown people. Never put in my comments again when I say we are better people than they are. Never, ever put in my comments again that I can't say that. They put floating buoys with frickin' saw blades on them in the river to kill human beings. I deleted it. I deleted the video. At the end, the audience is just clapping and applauding, he's talking about shooting people at the border and killing people. I mean, think about it. What is the practicality of that? How does that work? He says, if I find fentanyl in your backpack, you're dead. So again, what police forces are going to, Border Patrol and the Texas Department of Public Safety, our state troopers here in the state of Texas are just going to, everybody they find smuggling, at the border, which by the way, most smuggling comes through the border crossings. It'll be inside the walls of an 18-wheeler or something like that. So what are they going to do? Just pull the guy out of the truck and shoot him right there at the border crossing? I mean, come on, folks. He's telling you this with his own mouth. When they tell you who they are, believe them. They're cheering this. He's proud of it. He says it with moxie. Well, they're not going to do that anymore because we're going to leave them stone cold dead. So some guy that's a freaking mule, which is nobody in a cartel, because they've got to have the mules have to be dispensable people. They're people they force into this shit. And Ron DeSantis, if he's president, wants to start killing people and declare war on Mexico and Central America. And they're saying it out of their own mouths. And tomorrow, a corporate network will put him on as though he is a valid candidate. They will treat him at the debates as though he is a valid candidate. A guy that says, if you disagree with me, I will hurt your company. A guy that says, we're going to let radicals into your schools. And if you don't agree with what I believe, what I pray about in church, I'm going to hurt you. He says it over and over and over again. Tom Shear says, most drugs come in through legal entry points on land, seaports, airports. It is stupid, capital letters. He says, stupid to carry drugs in a backpack. You develop cantaloupe calves. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? And the Cato Institute has proven. They took a look at this Operation Lone Star boondoggle that Greg Abbott, my governor, has been engaging in. And they've proven everybody that gets, they're American citizens. The cartels aren't shipping immigrants over. They want people that can get through the border easily. So they're American citizens going down there and bringing drugs back. And I guess DeSantis is just going to shoot them. Linda Blanton says, Paul, we all know this. So what can we, average Paul listener, do to get through to the ones who actually need to see it? Serious question is, want to do more. Okay. All right. Let me lay it down for you. This is what we need to do. That's going to start our roundtable discussion. That was a great comment, and we're going to hit that first. We moved into the roundtable, folks. So get your comments and questions ready. That's why I'll be looking down. I'll be reading your comments and questions. What do we do about it? I need your help. I'm starting a project, and I need your help with it. We have the Democratic Party. In my area, the Democratic Party is made up of people that look like me or are older. They are. They are extremely passionate. They care about their fellow Americans, and they want to do right by the country. And they know how to get it done. They know how the system works. What we don't have in these meetings are young people. We have Gen X. Gen Z coming out. There are going to be millions of Gen Z voters in this. We've got an election coming up in August 2023. This is a good dry run. November of 2023. We have major elections coming up all around the country. I need you to be talking to your grandkids and your kids. I need you to be taking them to party events. One of the biggest complaints when I talk to young people is, and they will say this, they just want money from me. They just want money from me. That's all they want. Kids, listen to me when I tell you this. Politics is carried out. It is political. It is combat, and it is carried out through money. It's through ads. It's getting ideas out. It's events. It is funding your candidates. So yes, they want money from you. I use this as a perfect example. I am a public speaker and a political strategist. I just attended a rally here a few weeks ago where I was a keynote speaker, and I paid to get in the door. I did, folks. I paid for 2 tickets, me and Mrs. Texas Paul. Why? Because the lights aren't on for free. When I say thank you for the donations, folks, you keep the lights on around here. I mean, literally, when you pay to get into one of these events, you're literally paying for the building it's in and all the expenses involved. They're going to serve you a lunch. If it's an all-day thing, they're going to serve you a lunch. That's not free. So yes, the basic wheels of politics is money. It is. Don't let that turn you off. Explain to your kids when they get involved, because it's a real turnoff. It is. Everybody hates being asked for money. It feels like somebody's trying to get in your pocket. Explain to young folks that yes, Lisa Bowman, always great comments. Lisa Bowman says worth every penny. It is, and it's not a lot of money, folks. It's not. They're not asking you for $1 million. They're not asking you to be a billionaire sugar daddy. There's so many of us that when we give just a little bit, we make it happen. But what that buys you when you go to these local events and you've got to pay $20 for a ticket or $50 for a ticket, it gives you access to the room. It gives you access to all of these folks that know things. They know how to get it done. And boy, let me tell you, the Democrats have figured out we've got to be running candidates in every race. That was the big focus in the last meeting I went to. Candidates in every race. They know it. And they also know, let me tell you, one of the local fixtures here, and I just use this as an example. There's people where you are that this is exactly true. May not be the exact same facts, but not to. One of the local fixtures here in the Democratic Party who has been really helpful, really great. He's inspiring when he talks. He and his wife are moving to Uruguay. They are. They're going to be expats living in Uruguay. They bought a beautiful house down in Uruguay with some property. The guy's a rancher. He can raise cattle down there. He's right across the bay from a big city, but he's far enough away that he's out in the country. Look at the weather in Uruguay, folks. That's the big selling point. He lives in Texas now. Look at the weather in Uruguay. We're going to lose him. We're going to lose him. We've got to get young folks in the room with these people to continue on the party, bring their vitality in, and teach them how the process works. And don't talk down to them. Don't let them think they're stupid. And don't tell them they can't do what they want to do. Tell them how to do what they want to do. That's how we keep winning. We show up to vote every election. Take nothing for granted. And let's start getting your grandkids and your kids involved personally. Personally. Share my show. I know that sounds self-serving. I know it does. I know it sounds self-serving. But folks, they need to hear this message. They do. Bring people in. Share this on social media. It will get to people's folks, and they will understand they have to vote. Because I guarantee you, when Ron DeSantis said he was going to murder people at the southern border, every person in that video was going, woo! They're voting. They're voting. So anyways, I didn't mean to go so long on it. That's what I'm talking about. Foster says Gen Z, lots of millennials and additional generations to engage to. Those are the people I'm talking about. Get them involved. All right, let's find another good comment. That was a great, thank you for that comment. That was an amazing comment. Let's come up with let's see another good question or comment. And I know we've gone a little bit long today, but we've got about 5 minutes left. Let's have a good one. Emergency Remedial Truth says Green Party or any third party is a tactical mistake. In this critical period in our history, vote Dem as they are the only boat that floats right now. I cannot agree with you more. In fact, groups like No Labels, they are literally funded. Robert Kennedy Jr. they are funded by Republican donors. They are, simply to try to draw votes away. And I know there's a lot of people that, you vote, you pay attention to what's happening in politics, but the machinations of the elections, not everybody's in on. Let me tell you, a landslide is 5 points. A landslide victory is 5 points. Most elections, 1, 2, 3 points is the difference. So if these groups can peel off in local elections just a few hundred people, I mean, they don't have to change the world. All they've got to do is hit us for a few hundred voters. And they can win elections that they shouldn't be winning. So yes, that point, third party candidates are not an option. That's why I started the Ride or Die Democrats. And if you're new to the audience, welcome. I'm the founder of the Ride or Die Democrats. What that means is very simple. You can be a Ride or Die Democrat. Let me see the hearts and skulls in the comments. Let me see the hearts and skulls in the comments of my Ride or Die Democrats. That's how we signify each other. On our social media pages, in our bios, whatever, we put hearts and skulls out there. What it means to be a Ride or Die Democrat, because we are the big tent party. I am more liberal than some people in the Democratic Party, and I am more conservative than some people in the Democratic Party. We're going to have different people that there you go. There's the hearts and skulls coming out. Blue hearts and skulls, ride or die. That means that in the primaries, you fight your ass off for the candidate that you believe in. I will fight for mine. We may end up fighting against one another in the primaries. And that's okay. We have to try to forward our beliefs. But when that primary is over, if your guy wins, I walk into that voting booth and I pull the lever for him and say, that's my guy. And I always use the example. I was a Mayor Pete guy. I voted Mayor Pete in the primaries. When Biden became the nominee, I walked in that booth and I pulled the handle for Biden. Period. And I am so glad I did, because he has been a phenomenal president. He has left my jaw dropped on many occasions on how effective and how good of a president he has been. And that's what it means to be ride or die. That's how we win elections. We don't allow a Robert Kennedy Jr. to infect our people. We don't allow a group like No Labels or the Green Party or any of the other idiot institutions that are out there that exist solely to suck votes out of the Democratic Party to do it. We just don't do it. Thank you for that comment. That was an amazing comment. Great question. And I hope to God that you people hear me. Be a ride or die Democrat. Be a ride or die Democrat. It's the only way that our country moves forward. You see these people like Vivek Ramaswamy. They want to hobble NATO. They want to hobble the United Nations. They want to hobble every world organization that we cooperate with. Turn on your members option. Beneloco says, turn on your members option, please. I am going to do it. I'm going to do it. I've got an announcement to make. We are looking at a merchandise store. You're going to be able to get the Texas Potties mugs, a couple other mugs, and a few T-shirts. When we get that up and running, we're going to open up the memberships because what we're going to do is we're going to offer some discounts to members. Gary says, Paul, you and FP Wellman agree that we should not have any uncontested elections. What about you interviewing Victor Show? You mean Victor Shi? Or the Gen Z guy on this show? I am always open to interviewing people as long as they're serious people. I don't, and they're interested. They've got to be interested. They've got to want to be here, because I'm not going to bring somebody in that's just going through the motions. They've got to want to talk to you folks. I tell everybody in the world, you are the best audience anywhere. You're informed. You know what I'm talking about a lot of times before I start talking about it. You're aware of different parts of the subject. I have to go dig through. I've got to go dig through the dustbin of history to find interesting stuff to make these stories interesting for you, because you folks already know what's going on. And I do work hard to make it interesting, folks. I do. I hope you know that. Well, we're out of time, folks. We've gone way long. If we keep going, nobody's going to watch this video. So please share it as far as you can. And thank you for being here. Thank you for your great comments today. Thank you for all the support. I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday. This outro has some beautiful Texas cities. I hear a lot of people that talk about not wanting to come to Texas. Texas is gorgeous. One of my favorites, you'll see a city here with a river right in front of it. That's Austin at night, folks. It's a gorgeous city. Enjoy. Have a wonderful Sunday, and thanks for being here.